anime scenes don't scare you with jump scares. They sit with you, they crawl under your skin, slowly, quietly, and then refuse to leave. Demon Slayer does this better than most, not with cheap horror, but with moments that feel uncomfortably real. Moments where fear isn't loud, it's personal. Tonight, we're not talking about fights, we're talking about the scenes that made viewers pause, the ones that proved this story was never meant to be just another shonen. And once we start, you'll probably remember exactly where you were when these scenes first hit you. Let's begin. 10. The Swamp Demon Abduction. Early in Demon Slayer, before the series fully shows its hand, there's a moment that quietly tells you one thing: this story is not going to play fair. Tanjiro is investigating a string of disappearances. Nothing flashy, nothing loud, just rumors. But then the focus shifts to a single girl, alone in her house at night. No dramatic music, no warning, just silence, and the feeling that something isn't right. She notices a shadow. At first, it feels harmless, almost imagined, but it follows her, room to room, step by step. And that's what makes it terrifying, because it behaves the way real fear does. It waits. She finally lies down to sleep, thinking the danger has passed. That's when it happens. The shadow pours over her futon like liquid darkness. Two arms emerge, cold, sudden, grabbing her before she can even scream. She struggles, but it's useless. The animation lingers on her face, not exaggerated, not dramatic, just raw panic, real panic. There's no heroic interruption, no last-second rescue. She's simply taken. What makes this scene so disturbing isn't gore or violence, it's how quiet it is, how easily it could happen. The idea that demons don't always attack in the open. Sometimes they wait until you feel safe. This moment sets the tone for the entire series. It tells you that demons don't need grand entrances to be horrifying. Sometimes, all they need is a shadow, and your guard being down. Sir 9. Gyoko's art. Among the upper moons, Gyoko doesn't just kill people, he disrespects them. And that's what makes him unforgettable. The scene starts almost innocently. A villager wandering at night. The kind of moment you expect to pass quietly. Then he notices one of Gyoko's vases sitting there. Strange. Out of place. But not immediately threatening, until it moves. Before the man can react, he's sucked into the vase through an opening far too small for a human body. There's no blood spray, no prolonged scream, just the implication, and that's worse. Moments later, his body is expelled. Crushed, twisted, reshaped into something barely recognizable as human. Bones bent at impossible angles, limbs distorted, life reduced to a display piece. And Gyoko is proud of it. What makes this horrifying isn't just the violence, it's the mindset behind it. Gyoko doesn't see victims, he sees materials. To him, people are clay, raw ingredients for his beautiful art. Later, he proves this wasn't a one-off moment. Multiple corpses, mangled together, rearranged, displayed like trophies. There's something deeply unsettling about a demon who kills not out of hunger or rage, but aesthetics. Someone who finds joy in reshaping suffering into decoration. Gyoko reminds us that evil doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it smiles, and calls itself an artist. Search 8. Daki drops. Omitsu doesn't know she's confronting a demon. She thinks she's confronting a problem. After watching the chaos surrounding the Oiran house, she finally snaps. She corners Warabeheim and demands answers. Her voice shakes, but she stands her ground. In her mind, she's doing the right thing. That's what makes this scene hurt. Because Warabeheim isn't human, she's Daki. And the moment Omitsu pulls a knife, the illusion shatters. Daki doesn't panic. She doesn't yell. She smiles. In one swift movement, her disguise is torn away, and Omitsu is wrapped in Daki's obi and lifted into the air like she weighs nothing. The city stretches below her. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to fight back. And Daki takes her time. She mocks her, taunts her, lets the terror sink in. Omitsu can do nothing but cry, completely powerless, completely aware of what's coming. Then Daki lets go. No dramatic cutaway, no mercy, just gravity doing the rest. This scene is terrifying because Omitsu isn't a fighter. She's not a hero. She's just someone who tried to speak up and paid for it with her life. Dark 7. Gyomei's Nightmare. Before he ever became the Stone Hashira in Demon Slayer, Gyomei was just a caretaker. A gentleman raising orphans inside a quiet temple. No swords, no battles, just children who trusted him completely. That trust is what makes this scene unbearable. One night, while everyone is asleep, a demon slips inside. There's no warning, no fight, just silence, followed by screams. One by one, the children are slaughtered in the dark, completely defenseless. By the time Gyomei realizes what's happening, it's already too late. The horror isn't stylized, it's raw. Children crying, bodies falling, fear spreading faster than he can move. And when Gyomei finally confronts the demon, it's not a heroic clash, it's desperation, pure violent grief exploding all at once. But the most devastating moment comes after. One child survives. One. And instead of clinging to Gyomei for safety, the child accuses him, blames him, betrays him in fear and confusion. That accusation destroys him. This scene isn't scary because of gore or action. It's terrifying because it shows how quickly everything can be taken away. Even your purpose, even your innocence. Gyomei survives that night, but something inside him never does. And you feel that loss in every frame. Number 6. Spider Conversion. At first, it almost feels like a joke. Zenitsu is running, because of course he is, and stumbles across something strange in the forest. A spider-like creature, human face, wrong proportions, the kind of thing your brain immediately rejects. So he runs again. But what he finds next is far worse. Suspended in massive webs are humans, still alive, slowly transforming. Their bodies twisting, faces stretching, limbs warping into something inhuman. They're conscious. They feel everything. And there's nothing they can do. That's when the horror clicks. This isn't an attack. It's a process. And then Zenitsu realizes something else. He's been bitten. The poison starts working immediately. His hand discolors, swells. The skin begins to rot and deform. He watches it happen in real time, fully aware of what he's becoming. The fear here isn't death. It's losing your humanity. No dramatic music saves the moment. No instant cure. Just panic, pain, and the knowledge that if help doesn't come soon, he'll end up hanging in those webs too. This scene works because it takes a body horror concept and slows it down. It makes you sit with it, and that makes it far more disturbing than a quick kill ever could be. 5. Muzan slaughters the lower moons. This isn't a battle, it's an execution. The lower moons are summoned, likely expecting orders, or maybe punishment. Instead, they're met with disappointment. Muzan doesn't raise his voice, he doesn't shout. He simply decides they're no longer useful, and that's enough. One by one, he kills them, instantly, casually, without resistance, without remorse. Some don't even understand what's happening before they're erased. What makes this scene terrifying isn't the violence, it's the control. Muzan reads their thoughts, knows their fear before they speak it, anticipates their pleas, and ignores all of it. To him, their lives don't even qualify as a conversation. There's no dramatic struggle, no rebellion, just obedience, followed by death. The message is clear. Power means nothing in his presence. Rank doesn't matter. Loyalty doesn't matter. Survival is permission-based. This moment redefines Muzan as something worse than a villain. He's not driven by emotion. He's driven by convenience. And that makes him unpredictable. By the time the scene ends, you understand something chilling. The demons aren't the top of the food chain. They're just tools. And tools can be discarded. 4. The Kamado Family Massacre. The most terrifying scenes don't always show the violence. Sometimes, they show what's left behind. When Tanjiro returns home in Demon Slayer, something feels wrong immediately. The house is silent, too silent. No warmth, no voices, just stillness. Then he sees them, his family, slaughtered, frozen in death. Bodies scattered in the snow like they were discarded without thought. There's no dramatic buildup, no warning, just instant devastation, and that's what makes it hit so hard. These aren't warriors. They aren't part of some grand conflict. They're just people who were living their lives, until a demon decided they didn't deserve to anymore. The scene doesn't rush, it lets the horror breathe. The camera lingers just long enough for reality to sink in. This is permanent. Nothing can undo this. But the pain doesn't stop there. Tanjiro finds Nezuko still alive. Barely. He carries her through the snow, desperate, terrified, refusing to believe he's already lost almost everything. Each step feels heavier than the last. There's no villain monologue, no explanation, just loss. This moment defines the entire series. It establishes the stakes immediately and brutally. Not with spectacle, but with grief. And once you see it, you understand something crucial. This world doesn't protect the innocent. Sucker 3. He who must not be named. Suzumaru doesn't die because she loses a fight. She dies because she says the wrong name. Under the influence of Tamayo's blood demon art, she's tricked into speaking Muzan's name out loud. The moment the words leave her mouth, her expression changes. She knows. The terror hits instantly. She begins begging, crying, apologizing, not to anyone present, but to him, someone who isn't even there. And that's what makes it chilling. Then her body turns against her. Arms burst violently from her torso, from her mouth, from places that should never move. Her body twists and breaks as if something inside her is punishing her from every direction at once. There's no escape, no mercy, no delay. In seconds, her head is crushed, executed by her own flesh. What elevates this scene beyond body horror is awareness. Muzan doesn't need to appear to kill her. He doesn't need to watch. His control is absolute and remote. This scene makes one thing clear. Even demons live in fear, and if demons are terrified of someone, you should be too. Shu, Tanjiro's cruel awakening. Tanjiro's dream is perfect. His family is alive, laughing, warm, safe. Everything he's lost is suddenly back, and for a moment, you want him to stay there. That's what makes this scene so disturbing. Tanjiro realizes the truth slowly, too slowly. And when he does, he understands something horrifying. The only way out is to kill himself inside the dream. Not metaphorically, literally. He raises his sword against his own neck, fully aware of what he's doing, and forces himself to strike. The emotional weight of that decision is crushing. It's not bravery, it's sacrifice. But Enmu doesn't stop. Again and again, Tanjiro is dragged back into the dream. Again and again, he has to repeat the act. Each time, it gets harder. Each time, reality and illusion blur further. Eventually, he almost does it for real. That's the true horror here. Not death, but erosion. The gradual breakdown of the mind under repeated trauma. If Inosuke hadn't intervened, Tanjiro would have died without ever seeing the attack coming. This scene proves that some demons don't need claws or fangs. They just need patience. 1. Muzan shows no mercy. By this point, Muzan has already proven he's dangerous, but this scene removes any remaining doubt about what he truly is. It starts casually, almost mundane. Muzan encounters a drunk man in an alley. No provocation worth mentioning, no threat, just a minor inconvenience. And that's all it takes. With effortless strength, Muzan kills him instantly, like swatting away something insignificant. But that isn't the worst part. A woman nearby witnesses the murder. She panics, she freezes, and instead of killing her outright, Muzan decides to experiment. He presses a finger into her forehead and injects his blood. What follows is pure nightmare fuel. Her body begins to mutate violently, flesh expands uncontrollably, bones distort, skin stretches beyond its limits. She doesn't transform into a demon, she fails to survive the process. Her body can't handle Muzan's blood. She explodes into a grotesque mass of flesh and blood, erased in seconds. So now the question is simple. Which Demon Slayer scene stayed with you the longest? The one that made you pause, rewind, or just sit there in silence? Drop it in the comments. I read them all. And if you enjoy deep dives into the darkest, most unsettling moments in anime, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because the next one goes even deeper. See you in the next breakdown.